everybody, and welcome in to the B team. And today, the B stands for buttoned up because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And it's
I just heard B stands for butt. I didn't know where you were going with that.
Okay, well, let's get our unprofessional jokes out now because we've actually got a ton to talk about, with today being the opening day of the early signing period. Texas A&M has signed 28 players, almost all of them coming before noon, almost all of them coming before 10 o'clock this morning. 25 scholarship guys, 3 that have accepted admission to Texas A&M but did not sign a financial aid agreement. We are going to get to a lot of those names here in this episode of the B Team. We're expecting to be joined by TexAgs co-owner and executive editor Billy Lucci at some point. We will have TexAgs senior recruiting analyst Jason Howell via Zoom at some point. If you are trying to hear something about all 28 names, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that that is going to be impossible for us to get through. We've already talked about a number of those on a 3-hour National Signing Day edition of TexAgs Live. If you didn't catch that show, it's available in its entirety in a podcast form and on video replay for our TexAgs Premium subscribers. Bronny, not a bad time to be a TexAgs Premium subscriber.
It isn't a bad time.
It's actually a great time. And it's actually a lot of winning today. We're getting tired of so much winning. It's too much winning.
So we are going to try to be a little bit more buttoned up, but this is a B team version of our extended coverage of National Signing Day. Because of that, Richard has taken the lead as more of the host since I will be the analyst. As you said, we're awaiting Billy Lucci. Billy told us in front of God and everybody on live radio this morning on the YouTube, everybody saw Billy agree to come on B Team to talk about this signing day class. There is a chance that Billy has already forgotten that he told us that he was going to come on B Team to talk about the signing class. So we will await his arrival. If we don't hear from him soon, he just called me 3 minutes ago. So I would guess he's on his way. Nick, maybe can somebody back there page Billy, hit him on his beeper to see if he's coming to on his way to the office?
Call him so he's not texting and driving, please.
I don't think that's going to stop him. But
true.
And plus we will have, as Richard mentioned, the Howler is waiting in the wings to, he'll probably join us for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour toward the end of the program once Billy gets in here and says what he wants to say. But
so you said off the top that I'm going to be more of the host and directing the ship. And with that means I get to do the Southwood Valley Animal Hospital
rough.
Because they are the sponsors of the B Team. They are a full-service veterinary clinic offering tailor-made wellness plans for your pet, sick visits, daytime emergency care, advanced surgical capabilities, preventative medicine, and so much more. They're Aggie owned and operated by a husband and wife, Dr. Justin, class of 15 and 18, Dr. Lauren, class of 14 and 18. That veterinary team will help take care of your pet like they are family. They're currently doing a full remodel on their practice to make it safe, state-of-the-art, with new exam rooms, surgical suites, and hospitalization areas. They are temporarily located at 3206 Longmire Drive in College Station while the remodel is taking place, but they are fully operational at the present. They aim to provide superior veterinary care at affordable prices and tried their best to design treatment plans with owners' budgets in mind. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, as well as their website, southwoodvalleyvet.com, or schedule appointments on their website as well. Call them 979-693-9898. Bronny, I think it did okay with the read.
We don't need no cats.
And Mike Elko signed a ton of dogs.
We need a bunch of dogs.
And he talked about every single one of them.
He did.
On his press conference
today.
A
2-water bottle press conference to get through the entire signing class. I didn't know that he was going to go overarching theme right into player description, player detail, but he did that and went talked by himself for quite a while behind the podium. I have not gotten to listen to all of that. Looking forward to doing that tonight. Don't forget, if you are watching this show and you enjoy it, Nick Savage, by the way, flip the camera around to yourself, Nick, because you are producing. Fade Bickham has been faded to your right.
Are they leaving?
The Blonde Brigade is leaving.
They realize this is National Signing Day and we're actually supposed to work until 8 p.m., right? You're getting off easy.
Yeah.
They don't realize that.
I don't know what they're going off to do, but
I can take a guess.
So Nick Savage is producing the show, and Fade Bickham is right next to him. And don't forget, if you are interested in helping Cade Bickham continue his glow up, like the video, drop us a thumbs up. Every thumbs up, 1/100th of 1 cent. It's a brawny buck. If we get enough, Fade Bickham is going to get glasses / LASIK eye surgery.
And I don't think the LASIK's going to be performed by Southwood Valley Animal Clinic.
They could do it.
They could try. Cade is, after all, a dog.
He is a dog.
All right, you talked about overarching themes at the Mike Elko press conference today. What I thought was very interesting is how he talked about the 2026 class as the end of a 2-class cycle. So they are balanced. He's trying to balancing what they signed in 2025 with what they're bringing in 2026. To me, and I am the recruiting analyst novice here, it's not my day job, it's your day job. That's just an interesting way to look at roster construction and talent allocation at different positions.
Yeah, and I think when you're looking at that, you're looking at how you're stockpiling your talent with a team and a roster that you currently have on campus that is full of a lot of older guys, and you are going to graduate / move on from a lot of these players that are making so many plays on this Texas A&M team here in about a month. And so however long the Aggies play for, and we hope that it is well into 2026, but you're essentially a month away from having a ton of turnover on your roster and a lot of turnover in terms of your playmakers on Saturdays. And so how do you mitigate that? Well, you backfill the current roster with quality depth pieces and kids that are coming along in your program and developing while nobody can see them play. And then you you evaluate that and you go, okay, how are these young corners doing? How's Kobe Sellers and Dejan Petaway, Jamar Bill Goins, Adonis Curry? What do we think of that group? Okay, we think this. So with this recruiting class, you're always trying to go get top-end players that can raise the floor of your team immediately. But what you also want is guys that could come in, and if you believe in that group of corners, all right, how do we push them, and what does that group need to be more well-rounded? And a word that he used a lot in his press conference today was balance. They're looking for roster balance, and I think they did a great job, and especially when you consider, like you said, combining this class in 26 with what they signed in 2025. They did a tremendous job of balancing a roster. And you look at what they signed last year at running back and what they're going to sign this year at running back, and you kind of look what they did last year at receiver. And Mike Elko said, look, we love what we've got on campus. We're big fans of Kelshawn Johnson and TK Norman. Jerome Miles has been injured, but if he can ever get healthy and beat this injury bug that he's kind of consistently had over the last couple of years, if he can ever get by that and put it behind him, he's got as much raw talent upside as any player on the roster. Position, doesn't matter. Like whatever, any position, he is one of the more talented players on the roster. So when you look at what they did last year at receiver, they said, okay, speed, like we got with Kelshawn, like we got with TK, like we got with Jerome, still going to be at a premium and something that we put a high price tag on. But can we go get a big physical outside presence? Because you had those two smaller guys, those two inside guys with Kelshawn and TK. And what they did is they filled out essentially an entire receiver room. When you look at guys like Mike Brown that can play inside or out, and you look at Madden Williams, who's more of your true X receiver, and you look at Jaden Warren, who's another one of your X or Z receivers, your down the field presence. And Aaron Gregory is long and angular, but man, he's so quick, he can play inside. You just have so many different pieces that you talk about balance in each room. I think the receivers, especially when you look at what they did, combining last class with this class, I think you see that a lot at receiver, and I think you see it a lot at the place that we're going to start with our breakdowns here on the offensive line. Okay,
so you mentioned it. You want to start with the offensive line. Texas A&M, they signed, let me see.
3.
Count. 3. Zayden Krempin from Prosper, Texas. Avery Morcho from Ridge Point High School in Missouri City. And Samuel Roseborough from Clearwater, Florida. Where do you want to start here, Bronny?
Well, let's start with the guy furthest away from home, and let's go with Samuel Roseborough out of Clearwater, Florida. Look, when you turn his senior tape on, and this is something that I said in our in-home visit with Jason Howell before signing day, as we were trying to go through the class and give our superlatives, when we do this, it's kind of a good time for us to catch up and rewatch some of these guys and get a better feel for them. I hadn't watched Sam Roseborough's senior tape since probably September. What he did this year is incredible. And this is what I would call he's a big athlete. They gave him the ball sometimes. They let him play fullback. He's lined up at guard. He's lined up at center. He's lined up at tackle. But what stands out about Sam Roseborough is, and you see him making plays on the defensive line there, what stands out about Sam Roseborough is how he's 320 pounds and he plays like he's 220 pounds. He's so light on his feet for someone that big, and his combination of agility and power is wild. And you see the list of schools that A&M beat out for Roseborough: Texas, Florida State, Ohio State, Michigan. It really came down to A&M, Texas, and Florida State. The Aggies had to sweat it out a little bit. He came and visited an official visit to Texas A&M and followed that up with an official visit to Texas. Adam Cushing and company ended up winning out. And we talked about roster turnover and what the entire group's going to look like next year. And there's not a position more so where that's apparent than the offensive line. When you look at probably what's going to leave, or potentially even what's going to leave, Chase Basantis might have a decision to make. But you're for sure losing Trey Zune and Demetrius Crownover, Coley Fayu, Ruben Fothery. That's a lot of
Armaje Reed Adams.
You're losing a lot of snaps there. So you are going to have to backfill that with talent, which they have. Like, they believe that class that was right behind all of those older guys. We're talking about Robbie Bordon, and you're talking about Blake Ivy and Ashton Funk and Papa Afua. They believe that they've hit some home runs there. They really like Lamont Rogers and Tyler Thomas from last year's class. So they are bullish on some of these guys that have been waiting in the wings. But you had to go out, I think, and sign a player, at least one on the offensive line. You never want to be playing true freshmen in this league, but you want to sign at least one that could potentially impact next year's rotation. I think Samuel Roseborough can, because of the power that he plays with and because of that elite athleticism and that style of body. I mean, it's a center guard body that moves like an offensive tackle. It's really impressive to watch his movement patterns.
So you saw in his film, he's playing a lot of tackle on the right side for his high school in Clearwater. But Mike Elko did say today that he is going to be a true inside guy once he arrives on campus. Yeah,
and you see, to me, like, the tape says that. He's powerful. He's good in close quarters. He's great in the pull game. We see how important in this A&M offense, mobility of offensive linemen has been hugely important. And when they run these stretch run plays or these pin pull plays, your guards have to be able to move, and they have to be able to move people. And I think that's one thing Adam Cushing and his sit down with Will Johnson talking about the signing class, and he was talking about all three of the guys he signed. He mentioned Samuel Roseborough specifically as a people mover. He moves people against his will. He plays low. He's got good leverage. He gets under his pads and under the opposition pads. And when you do that, to me, that is an advanced skill set, an advanced trait for a high school offensive lineman, because a lot of these guys get by just being bigger than their competition. And they don't learn how to play low and play under people until they have to once they get to college and everybody's their size. Samuel Roseborough plays with that good pad level already, so that's not something he's going to have to learn when he gets here. He'll tighten his body up. He'll continue to get stronger with Tommy Moffitt. But I think the play strength that is apparent on tape is going to translate to him at least getting in the mix early on, even with older guys ahead of him.
Okay, so that's one of three Texas A&M offensive line signees. Just tried to make a new word, Bronny. It wouldn't have worked out for me. Do you want to go to DFW or want to stay in the Bayou City?
Let's go to DFW. Hal's going to want to talk about Zayden Crimpin a little bit later, because Hal has got to know him extremely well up there in the Metroplex. But I have watched Zayden Crimpin from afar, and I have watched his tape from afar.
And you describe him as a dude who just looks like an offensive lineman, from the mullet to the way he plays the game.
Yeah, it's old school, man. It's an old school mentality. It's an old school look. He's got a full sleeve tattoo. You can see the picture there and the beautiful graphic made by Nick Savage. Nick Savage, great graphic maker.
The best.
The best graphic maker. But you can see in that graphic there, he rocks the face mask with the bar down the middle, a la 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers offensive linemen and linebackers. And as well-spoken and respectful as he is off the field, he completely flips the switch whenever the whistle blows and the game starts. And he makes a living off of putting people in the ground. He can play tackle. I think he projects more as a right tackle. He's not super long with his wingspan, but Trey Zune has played how many years at left tackle in the SEC with not an elite, what you would call an elite wingspan, an NFL type of wingspan for a tackle. Very mobile, very athletic, light on his feet. But the name of the game to me with Zayden Crimpin is power, tenacity, and just grit, toughness, lunch pail kind of dude, and leadership qualities potentially in the offensive line. He reminds me so much of Trey Zune. Like, there's a lot of similar qualities. And he said this morning on TexAgs Live that he'd been talking to Trey Zune and he'd learned a lot from Trey Zune. And so it seems like he may be emulating Zune's game. And there's a lot of similarities between the two whenever you look at them both as high school prospects. But this is a kid that's been a 3.5-year starter at Prosper, a program in Dallas that at the 6A level has pumped out offensive linemen like crazy. Jason got to know that coaching staff very well. The head coach there is an Aggie. The offensive line coach there is very advanced for, you think about a high school offensive line coach. He is very highly regarded amongst coaches in the state at that position. He's obviously coached a lot of next-level players at Prosper, and he just waxes lyrical about Zayden Crimpin and the type of player that he is now and the type of player that he can be, but also what he's meant to that room, what he's meant to that team, and then those leadership qualities, those leadership traits that I talked about. This kid is as well-rounded of an offensive line prospect as you could ask for, and when you combine the tape and the tenacity and the whole thing, we end up moving him into our top 10 in the state of Texas, comes in at number 10 in the TexAgs rankings in the class of 26.
Look forward to hearing more from Jason Howell, the DFW Metroplex's own Jason Howell, a little bit later on in this edition of the B Team. I'm sure he'll have plenty of nice things to say about the 6'5", 270-pound Zayden Crimpin. That leaves only one more offensive lineman from Missouri City.
Mo City.
Ridge Point Panther, Avery Morcho, Bronny, the 30th ranked player in that TexAgs top 100 class of 26.
As they say down there, from Mo City to Yo City.
I got you.
Avery Morcho headed to Texas A&M. And so this is your piece of clay. Like, this is your down-the-road tackle prospect. 6'6", 6'7". He's still a little, light. Like, he's 275, 280. He'll probably get to, when you look at his frame and just kind of how he's built, long legs, high torso, broad shoulders. Like, there's 330 pounds probably on him in 6 or 8 months. The weight's just going to stick to him once he gets into college. But what I would describe as like very loosely athletically gifted, like loose tackle traits for being as long as he is. Sometimes you see these kids that are big, long tackle prospects. They have trouble moving because just their strength hasn't caught up to their frame. And sometimes you'll get bowed knees or you'll get knock knees because the kids are so tall and they're holding that much mass. Avery looks like a basketball player. Like, when you see him, he looks like a basketball player. He's long, got a little angular to him. Very, like, his reach is pretty incredible. Like I said, long legs, long waist, and torso. This is like a really good piece of putty. And he got a bunch of offers, but then I think A&M viewed him because A&M was looking at him as like a down-the-road thing. They put a lot of stock into him and his development. And he's been well coached. He's played at a very successful high school program. But one of my favorite things is, like, whenever you go scout tackle prospects, you don't have to look at them right now. It's like Lamont Rogers. Lamont Rogers, like, you looked at him, you're like, all right, man, like in 18 months, what's this guy going to look like? And then when you combine the projectability and what you can dream on in your head, the ceiling, with the movement patterns that you already see, Lamont Rogers also another very skilled basketball player. That's what you're getting in Avery Morcho. So there is a lot to dream on, as I said, with Morcho. I love him in pass protection right now. I think he plays a little bit high in the run game, but he's got great feet. I mean, you look at some of these clips. Look how quick his feet are moving for a kid that's 6'6", 6'7", and upwards of 280, 290 pounds. I just like the tools. I like the piece of clay that Adam Cushing's got to work with here.
So that's the offensive line. The Aggies signed 3 players in the class of 2020.
4, really?
4? 4, yes, of course. We can't get out of here without talking about the legacy that is Hunter McKinney.
You know, what's crazy about Hunter McKinney is that, obviously his dad, great player at Texas A&M, longtime offensive lineman with the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. But it's crazy that he was able to overcome the coaching of his Uncle Seth.
That's true.
And the awkwardness of his Uncle Seth. No, I'm just kidding. I wish Billy were here so he could expound upon that. But really cool, like for Hunter to be recognized today along with the rest of the offensive linemen. And what a cool moment for the McKinney family, for his dad. I know he's just got to be bursting with pride about his son getting a chance to wear the maroon and white like he and his brother did and run through the tunnel. And Hunter's been all in with A&M for a long time. Sure. And had a scholarship offer and was committed to Houston Christian. But when the opportunity to continue his career at Texas A&M came open, that was something they couldn't pass up. And he understands the developmental process that he'll be under, and he understands what his timeline looks like. And I think his dad fully understands it. And they were convinced that for Hunter's best development would be to come to Texas A&M, get involved with the culture under Mike Elko, get the tutelage of Adam Cushing from a personal, physical development and mental development in the game of football, understanding the game, improving his craft individually while also being around a group and a culture and an offensive line group that was going to push him day in, day out to be a better player. And they understand that, time with Tommy Moffitt and time in the nutrition center is all going to be part of his development. And they're not in a rush to get on the field or anything like that. They fully understand what they've signed up for here. And I think they're over the moon to have Hunter in maroon and white.
It was really funny when Coach Elko was talking about every single player, and he got to Hunter and started talking about his family legacy at Texas A&M, and he's talking about Steve and Seth, and they both played here. We're in the press conference room, and I'm trying not to laugh because I know those two guys.
Yeah,
but in all seriousness, an awesome day for the entire family.
Yeah, I mean, we give Steve and Seth a hard time just because Billy does, and Billy's so close with them. But I do want to ask Billy when he gets here kind of about what he's watched Hunter grow up. It's just literally the son of one of his best friends, and get to see him come play at Texas A&M. It's got to be a cool moment for Billy as well.
Probably makes him feel a little bit old.
No, I think he's probably past that. Whenever he's got Fred Spiller's son came and played here, and some of these guys that he was in school with have now had sons grow up and play here.
Yeah.
I think Billy's past that point. But I do think, from kind of an emotional sentiment, this one might mean more to Billy just because he's so close with Steve and Seth.
Sure. So that's the offensive line. It's 4 signees: Samuel Rose, Burrows, Aiden Crimpin, Avery Morcho, and Hunter McKinney. From the OL to OB, can I give the people their daily Olin Buchanan update? Sure.
Can I tell you? So I did get a text from Olin. As many of you know, he is at Houston Legacy High School, probably leaving Houston Legacy now. At Mike Brown's signing ceremony, we'll have a feature piece on Mike Brown, his dad, Reggie Brown, his mom, Carrie Brown. Miss Carrie is, they're all sensational people. Miss Carrie is one of the sweetest human beings walking the face of the earth. So I think Olin will be able to, that's what Olin is supremely talented in, is being able to tie a story together and tell it. He did text me right before he got to the high school, or I guess as he got to the high school, and said, "Do y'all need video?" And the way I read it was like with trepidation. Like, I hope I don't have to use my cell phone for anything technological. I told him, "OB, you don't have to do that. There's no expectation of video."
I'm just hoping we get a couple of photos. The Olin Buchanan update is as of 3:59 p.m. He had just finished speaking with Mike Brown, so he's going to write his story. We're going to have it on TexAgs.com later on today. He is working, I promise you. We did not give him the day off. He wasn't on TexAgs Live. He's not on B Team. Does not mean
he's never been on B Team.
Yes, he's never been on B Team.
I don't know what the chat wants. And Reese Nygren's now a part of this. He's part of the problem. He's back there spamming OB stuff in the chat, or at least he's
supposed to be back here working, and he's just spamming OB in the chat. Come on.
Here's what happens though. Like when we have OB on B Team, like what happens after that episode? Well, we all finally put a sock in it about OB?
No, I think when B Team finally has Olin Buchanan on the show, it ceases to be the B Team. It becomes the OB team. And one of us is out of a job, probably me. And that makes sense.
Did get a question in the chat. We did talk about running backs earlier.
Yes.
We talked about KJ Edwards, the lone signee today out of Carthage. Talked about him extensively. So if you want the breakdown of KJ, go back and I think it was probably hour 3. It was late in the show when we got to KJ Edwards. So hour 3 of the TexAgs live show this morning. But Damian HDZ08 in the chat says, are we going to land Carson Baker? Here's what I will say about A&M's chances with Carson Baker. If you want the latest intel, and a lot of you listening do want the latest intel, a lot of you want the latest intel, or some of you want the latest intel to go turn around and blab it on social media or wherever else, whatever. If you're a subscriber to TexAgs, the intel about Carson Baker is on there. I guess I've been more and more bullish as the day goes on, but my latest update, I don't think I pull any punches. I got called, I believe somebody said on the board that I was being cryptic. If you go read those updates, I don't think cryptic is the right word. If you know how we operate here,
yeah,
it's pretty on the nose.
Even if you're not fluent in Brauninger or you're not fluent in Lucci, you can figure it out. I promise you. You can figure it out. Read between the lines. You'll know where this is.
You don't have to read very far between the lines to me.
That's true.
It's pretty apparent.
And just to shamelessly plug our content, there is no better value than being a TexAgs premium subscriber.
That's true.
No better value in the game. Bronny, we've talked offensive line. Where do you want to go now?
Well, let's stay along the offensive front because we didn't talk about tight end, and that's a position they signed 3 players at. Well, 2 tight ends and 1 athlete officially. Mike Elko said in his press conference that KK Johnson will start at tight end and kind of see where his career goes from there. So we'll start. Let's start with Caleb Tafua, and the reason why I want to start with Caleb Tafua is he had the most interesting senior season probably of anybody in the class. Started his he's from California originally. Was going to a private high school out there that lost their head coach very early in the season. He was let go, relieved of his duties very early in the season, only to have their season be forfeited a couple of weeks later. So this was like late August, early September, and Caleb Tafua was left without a place to play. They started putting out feelers all over the state of California. I got calls that they were putting out feelers in the state of Texas. It's just there's not many places that he was going to be able to go and be immediately eligible, but they were searching high and low seemingly to find a place that he could go to get eligibility. Well, they found a place in Mesa, Arizona, in Mesa High School, and so he only played, I believe, 6 games and was still one of his district's leading receiver in only 6 games. What stands out about Caleb on the tape, okay, is obviously big, massive body, but there's a couple of plays in here where he is jumping over defenders at 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. So I think the athleticism really jumps out when you watch the tape. There's one of those hurdles right there. It's tough to get a read on him as a blocker. There's not just a lot of tape here. There's a few clips of him in line as a blocker, but that's normal with all of these high school tight ends. Like very rarely are you going to see a kid come in at this position that has spent a lot of time with his hand on the ground and blocking edge players, blocking outside linebackers, fitting up against, off the ball linebackers in run games. That's just not how these big athletes are used in high school. And I don't blame these high school coaches for it. You go back and look at Keati Armstrong's tape at Jasper. He's split out wide most of the time. And Keati's 6'6", 270. So there's just not a lot of tape for most of these tight ends as blockers. It's a trait that they're going to have to learn. So Caleb, it was interesting. It got interesting late. There was a lot of schools coming after him, especially whenever he went through the move to the state of Arizona. The Aggies had taken 2 other players at the position. At one point, we were wondering if A&M was going to be able to hold on to him. They ultimately did. He visited for Samford. A&M was able to lock down the hatches during that visit and keep everybody away, and he ultimately signs with the Aggies today.
Brauninger said, or not Brauninger, Elko said he's from Long Beach. He's an elite receiver at tight end. He transferred high schools. That school is ineligible, so he had to find a place in Arizona, which is what Mike Elko believes just highlights how much Caleb Tafua loves playing the game of football.
Yeah, and that's a question that we've often talked about in this recruiting cycle, is that the coaching staff, and it's one of their ethos, it's one of their non-negotiables, is does this kid love football? Not playing the games, not running out on Kyle Field in front of 107,000 people. does he love football and everything that goes into it? And we described Mike Brown that way. Like, Mike Brown loves football. How do I know? Well, because at one point this year, I got Mike Brown's day-to-day schedule, weekly schedule. And every waking hour, he devotes to bettering himself physically to get himself ready to come to Texas A&M. And it's not a chore for him. That's not something that his dad or his mom are having to drag him to do. He has set the schedule. So they are looking for players that love football. And I think if you love football, then all the tertiary discussions surrounding NIL, playing time, that all gets pushed way back, because I love football and I believe in this coaching staff. They're going to develop me and I'm going to get better. And whenever I think that makes just the whole operation that much more efficient whenever you have most of them. When you have 105 guys on the roster, everybody's not going to have the same mentality. It's inevitable that you're going to have a couple of guys that are worried about things out of their control. They may be a little bit selfish, wanting the ball more, want more snaps. But if the majority of your locker room is wired the other direction, then they pull those guys out of it. And you've seen it, on this A&M team. And we just had Tiger Rodden in here to do an NIL interview, and he talked about just how happy he is. He's played in one game, but he talks about how happy he is to see all the other running backs score a touchdown. That's what we're talking about, man. Like, all the other stuff that on the outside, the periphery, that will get taken care of if you keep the main thing. And that's from a personal level, an individual level as a player, all the way out to a team and culture level.
Brauninger just mentioned his interview with Tiger Ryden. You need to be a Texas Aggies United subscriber to find that interview. Of course, perfect way to help support Texas A&M student athletes and their endeavors both on and off the field. Brauninger, you talked about guys who love
Are you
football.
calling me Brauninger because this is supposed to be a button-up edition of B-Team?
Yeah, I'm not going to shorten it, right? It's more professional to call you by your full last name. So the staff looks for guys who love playing football. Another thing they look for is guys with multiple skill sets. How do you acquire multiple skill sets? You play multiple sports. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Let's talk about Evan Jacobson, the tight end from the state of Iowa. Nick Savage's favorite guy in the signing class. Mike Elko dropped some knowledge on us today. He says that, quote, I think there is an agreement with Bucky McMillan that will allow Evan Jacobson to go across the street and try to play some basketball with the Aggies when football season is over.
Yeah, and I think that's the same kind of agreement he's probably got with Michael Early in regards to Marco Jones, right? Like, if time can be made and they are not suffering their development in football, he will allow them to go do both sports. And I think he genuinely means that. That's not like a tongue-in-cheek statement. So KK Johnson and Evan Jacobson, both elite basketball players. And Evan Jacobson so elite that he legitimately got recruited in both sports. As you said, Bucky McMillan spent time on this recruitment. The Aggie basketball staff helped out. This is, when you're looking at tight ends, and this is part of the reason why Nick got so excited about Evan Jacobson, this seems like a safe bet, doesn't it? You go get a kid from Iowa who had Iowa and Iowa State offers. He's also an elite basketball player. Like, this is the kid that goes to Iowa City, and in 2 years, people are talking about him as one of the top players in the draft. And Iowa has done it.
TJ Hawkinson.
George Kittle.
Yeah.
And I'm missing, there's one more. Laporta. Isn't Laporta an Iowa guy?
Let me look it up. I believe so. I'm kind of not been the best Lions fan lately.
It's been a tight end factory.
You were correct. He did play at Iowa.
And where is Iowa getting all of these tight ends that are going to Iowa and then going to the NFL? From the state of Iowa. And A&M went there and got a guy like this. And so at the position, just what history has told you, what precedent has told you, is that this is a pretty safe bet that he is going to be an impact player. You love his athleticism, 6'7", fluid athlete, really fluid runner. And like, he does have some intriguing tape as a blocker, and the blocking in space as well, and some wide receiver screens and stuff like that. But you see him run after catch. He's got I think Leone said it this morning, or maybe it was Jamie McCoy. Like, it's Nate Borkature starter kit. Now, Nate Borkature was a 0-star coming out of high school in no-name rural Nebraska. this kid has some real cachet to him, but it is a similar skill set, and you could see him maturing in terms of the weight he's going to add into a body type like Borkacher.
So that leaves one tight end, at least a guy who will begin his collegiate career as a tight end. B in B team might also stand for Buffs Moving Fast.
I like
Caden
that.
Johnson.
Yeah, KK, super interesting story. I first saw KK Johnson as a freshman at Fort Bend Marshall. He was showing up on the camp circuit in Houston, and everybody talked about him being the next big-time quarterback at Fort Bend Marshall. But even as a freshman, he was so tall. He's like 6'4" as a freshman, and you're going, God, like if you keep getting bigger, I don't know that you're going to be able to play quarterback at the next level. Well, he did keep getting bigger. He's 6'6", 240 pounds, and this is a tremendous job of scouting by Derek Miller, Alan Goday, and the rest of the A&M recruiting department, because what they saw here is not a big-bodied quarterback that had offers, low-level P4 offers from across the country. What they saw is an elite athlete who might be playing the wrong position in high school. And especially, we go back to what I said about the basketball stuff, they really broke down his basketball tape, and then they watched some videos that had gotten sent to me and had gotten sent around about just his raw athletic nature. I mean, this kid can turn a backflip at 6'6", 240 pounds. His change of direction. There was a video that got slowed down and screenshotted and sent to me of him running a 5.10.5 shuttle. And you can see how low he gets to the ground when he changes direction. That's not normal. This is not a normal athlete. Even at 6'6", 240 pounds, kids at that size and frame, they don't move like this. Now, he had to play quarterback for Fort Bend Marshall because it was a team need. He was the best athlete on the team. He'd been playing quarterback. He had to do it for the sake of his team. But when you look at what he could do at Texas A&M, they're going to start him at tight end, as I said. I mean, there's certainly an opportunity for him to do some quarterback run stuff, just give you that versatility. But who knows like how he grows and what he develops into. But this is a truly special athlete coming in, and it's like, wow, like, okay, we'll figure out where he's going to play. It's not all that different than Chiati. Now, Chiati never played quarterback, but Chiati was like, is he going to be an offensive tackle, a tight end, or defensive lineman? They're going to start him at tight end and figure it out. Same deal with KK Johnson.
Having talked to Chiati Armstrong yesterday, he can do pretty much whatever he wants because I'm not going to be the person who tells him no. Not going to work out well for me.
Chiati is a large human.
Massive.
And
somehow the second largest human we've had in this office this week.
KK is not far behind him. And again, like if you are going to be evaluating KK Johnson, I encourage you to look deeper than just the football highlights because you'll see some runs. You'll see him in the open field as a ball carrier in the huddle tape, but you're going to be missing a lot of what made him so intriguing for Texas A&M. And if you'll remember, after A&M offered, a lot of other folks went, oh, hold on. Why did A&M go on this kid? Let's kind of re-engage and let's do our homework again on what A&M saw that we may have missed. And his dad's alma mater. Reminder, his dad played 9 years in the NFL. I remember him with the Buffalo Bills, Spencer Johnson. So you look at the bloodlines, and Spencer Johnson, his dad was an All-American, All-SEC player, at Auburn. And Auburn jumped in the boat and made a huge push. Nearly got him on campus for an official visit before A&M was able to stem the tide there. And he kind of told Auburn, thanks for no thanks. I know my dad's a legend there, but he grew up in Houston. He grew up around A&M. I'm just going to tell you, man, and anytime I can work Devon Achane into a story, I will.
We know.
Devon's presence at that school and what he did at Texas A&M and what he's doing now has set A&M up for success for a long time at Fort Bend Marshall. And them winning that recruitment so many years ago helped them keep KK Johnson in this cycle. I'm convinced of it.
Let's stay up front, but let's flip it to the other side of the ball, all right, the defensive line. And this is a position that I think really highlights what Mike Elko said about balancing classes.
Can I get a 30 like Bucky McMillan?
Do you need a 30?
Hey, Nick, I don't know if Billy's coming at all. I text him. I have not heard back. I did tell Jason Howell that we would get him in around 4:45. So do we want to go ahead and bring Jason in when we start talking defense?
Is he here, Nick?
I haven't seen him. Jason has a link, so I can text him to hop on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Let's just plan on Jason joining around 5 o'clock.
Perfect. Okay. Now you want to talk defensive line?
Is that a 30-second break? Also,
I think so.
Can I get somebody to bring me a water? Somebody that's standing around. Who's behind you, Nick?
Why do we need? We just throw Matthew Dawson in there to break down.
He doesn't know. He's
kidding.
hold
Someone's
on.
getting you water.
No, don't give him.
Don't
any
give him
airtime.
any shine right now. He is on the Santa's naughty list, Nicholas.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, do we need to recap his preseason prediction of Baylor as a playoff-bound team with a first-round bye and Sawyer Robertson hoisting the Heisman Trophy?
He did say that.
It's true. Verbatim.
He
Verbatim.
did say that.
And
Put money on it too.
he sat there in that final row of computers talking to me about Jamarian Miller having a breakout year at Alabama. They can't run the ball for squat. This guy don't know ball.
I've always said Matthew Dawson, no ball knowledge.
No ball
I've
knowledge.
always said this. Okay. You got your 30? Is that the
Yes.
Here comes Jason.
timeout?
Oh.
Jason Howell's about to come back on. I think I can.
He was
segue
hovering.
into
Howell must have been hovering with the mouse. He was
Isn't
just
he
waiting.
always hovering?
He just needed the text message
Isn't
to
he
say where to
always
go.
hovering? I think I'll go ahead and start, okay? Because this is a position that highlights exactly what
There he
Coach
is.
Elko is talking. What's up, Jason?
He's zoomed in.
He's bringing Nick said he's going to bring him on.
Oh,
in
he's
just a
not.
couple
We got no
minutes.
volume.
Hi, Jason. Good to see you. We'll
That's
talk
perfect.
to you in
Well,
just
wait,
a second.
because look, I've got my water here now. It's perfect.
Mike, look at that. And he's smiling, too. His basketball team must have won yesterday.
Ruben Dominguez can really shoot.
Yeah.
That's something that he did
hit
get
the
right.
more than on 2.5 3-pointers made.
Hit all year.
For
all
sure.
year he's going to hit that.
Okay. All right, Jason. This is going to be the third time I've tried to intro this topic, okay? Earlier
All right.
today, Coach Elko talked about balancing classes, the 2025 class and the 2026 class. The defensive line in this group is a very nice complement to what the Aggies signed last year, right? They signed 3 defensive tackles. They signed 1 true edge rusher in Marco Jones a year ago. This year, they've got 2 edge rushers, a defensive end in Bryce Perry-Wright, and just 1 tackle. I'm just going to go ahead and let you two go.
Yeah, Jason, just go ahead. You start with Bryce Perry-Wright, who you went out there to see in person. You also saw Tristan Gibbons. So take us through those Georgia two. Start with Bryce Perry-Wright. We'll roll his highlights while you're talking.
Yeah, so Bryce, to call him a defensive end is a disservice, man. He can do a little bit of everything. He's not the biggest guy to have at D-line, at D-tackle there, but put him at the 3 technique and watch him go to work. That dude will ruin your offense's day. He comes off the ball low. He brings an extraordinary power when he comes off the ball, and he's got. I don't even know if you call it the length that you would necessarily like there. It's not the prototypical length, but he just gets right after it and bends that corner as well as anybody you'll see on the high school level. And I think he's a guy that can come right in, has a skill set to make an early impact right off the bat. He's just such a versatile weapon and plays multiple positions up and down the line. Like I said, plays above his size and strength, and just plays with extraordinary, technique and quickness and twitch.
Yeah, to me, Jason, he first of all, he like really stood out at the Navy All-American Bowl last year in San Antonio as an underclassman, going up against these offensive tackles. He has got way more juice than you expect in his body. And like Jason said, I think Bryce Perry-Wright's versatility is going to lend itself to getting on the field early next year. To me, like everybody wants to make comparisons. I don't know that I have a good one for Bryce Perry-Wright on this A&M team. Like it's a souped up, if you want one, it's a way souped up version of Tyler Onyedem. Like way souped up.
Yeah, and I would go back to our guy from LaPorte, man. I mean, I think there's a lot of Albert Regis in him. I think you're going to end up looking up one day and seeing this guy at 280 pounds, just an extraordinary ball of twitch and muscle and what he brings to the table there. I remember watching Albert play H-back and his phenomenal athleticism, just with his vertical leap and everything. I see a lot of that with Bryce, but he brings much more off the edge as
Yes.
well.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is. I remember looking at him at Navy Bowl and going, that dude doesn't have the length to be an edge guy. He just doesn't. But then he ruined the East on game day.
Yes.
And every one-on-one, he was beating the crap out of some All-American offensive tackle. So the dude brings it, and he plays above his measurables. He's a lunch pail guy. He's from one of the best programs in the country. Buford, Georgia, pumps out talent like nobody else in the country. I mean, they are up there with anybody, and they're he's from a winning program. He brings that mentality, that edge, and he's been a 4-year varsity. I don't want to say contributor because that feels like a slight, but this guy was getting offers in the 8th grade. Terry Price offered this kid his Texas A&M scholarship offer.
Long live TP.
So, and this is a dude that he brings it. Whatever you want in a D line, he's going to bring it. We're going to look up and see this guy make a lot of plays over the course.
And Jason said something there about competing for a state championship and an elite program. Mike Elko said today 9 players in this Texas A&M class still playing and competing for state championships.
It's 9 playing for a state championship and 1 guy playing for a national championship.
OT,
so
yeah,
it's
the OT
10
7.
guys
One of those
still
guys
playing high school
this
football.
other guy you asked me to talk about, Tristan Givens.
Yes, and when you talk about, so maybe Bryce Perry-Wright doesn't have the ideal measurables to rush the passer, or it doesn't look like he would. This guy looks like it. I mean, Tristan Givens looks like he was made into a lab to rush the passer.
You got the wingspan that you look for in that edge. He and when it comes to bending the corner, he absolutely destroyed some small. I called him a small team. It was a small town, little Georgia team, but it's a team that's always competing for semis and whatnot in Georgia, and he made them look like Pee Wee. He was able to get after it, and I think he had like three sacks, 2 forced fumbles, a ton of tackles. He was up and down. He was making tackles 20 yards down the field. He's a high motor, twitchy edge guy, like we talk about when you draw him up. He's what you look for with that length and that build. We're going to look up one day. We're talking about Cassius Howell and some of those guys. He's going to be in that mold where he's got the potential to really be a terror for SEC offenses.
It's funny that you mentioned Cassius Howell, Jason, because we've got one guy in the chat that says Jason Howell is better than Cassius Howell, and we've got another person asking if you and Cassius are related. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably not related.
He got all the athleticism in the family.
I mean, we don't share very many genes. I'm guessing he's got the athleticism that I certainly do not and never will. And but yeah, I'm glad to share a last name. It makes me feel good whenever I see Howell, on the message board these days.
Well, to go back to Tristan Givens, there's clips of him. I mean, he's running routes, and he looks like he'd be an elite wide receiver prospect. This kid is off the charts athletic. Class superlatives, I believe I had him as highest upside. The ceiling on this kid is phenomenal. And one thing that shines, so like obviously elite build, elite twitchiness, but I love the motor that he plays with. And Jason saw it in person. He runs after the football. And I value that so much in high school defensive linemen because so often you'll go see these highly recruited kids. If the ball's not at them, they kind of give up on the play. And it's just, you see enough of them. It doesn't mean they're going to be bad players in college at all. But I just love that he's wired to chase the football, and regardless of situation and the motor that he plays with. When you combine a motor like that with that skill set, it's like a relentlessness to get to the quarterback. I like this. He's one of my favorite players in the class.
It's hard not to love him, like you said. That high effort, high energy. I think that's one thing that Elko looks for in his guys and he certainly got it in the defensive lineman. He's got headed to Aggie land.
So that's 2 of the 4. I believe we talked about Samu Moala on TexAgs Live this morning, which would leave Jermaine Kinsler as the 4th defensive lineman in the class of 26.
And again, you go back and you talk about balance and balancing what A&M took last year with this class. Okay, the Aggie defensive interior has had a great season, and they love the prospects of DJ Sanders, Chase Sims, and Landon Rink. They really do. But what they lacked on this team and on future teams, they said, we got to go just get a bigger presence on the interior. Albert Regis has got long arms, but he's 6'2", 6'3". DJ Hicks, 6'2", 6'3". Tyler Onyedem, probably 6'2". They wanted to go get a big, massive guy. They got it a little bit last year in DJ Sanders, who's 6'3", long arms. But Jermaine Kinsler, the closest comparison that you're going to have if you're an A&M fan to this guy is Jaden Peavy. And I think he's bigger than Jaden Peavy, and he shows more twitch and punch coming out of high school than Peavy did. And Jaden Peavy was a really daggum good player for Texas A&M and Mike Elko for a few years. Jermaine Kinsler is legit like 6'7", block out the door type of player. This is, again, this is roster balance. This is something they felt like they needed. They go to Mike Elko's home state of New Jersey. They pull out one of the best players in the state and one of the best defensive linemen on the East Coast, Jason.
Yeah, from one of the best programs in the country. Bergen Catholic, they don't just compete, they win championships up there, and they beat a lot of teams with a lot of top prospects. And Jermaine is, you talk about Jaden Peavy, and they both have that basketball background. I heard you guys talking about some of those O-linemen, some of those tight ends, but Jaden Peavy, like Jermaine Kinsler, I mean, they both came in with that basketball background. I think he's a little bit more on the raw side than Jaden was, but as that size, that frame, kind of builds out, I think that's going to be something to watch. We could be talking about this guy playing a number of positions over the course of his career, but that, like you said, that length on the interior, he can be that long guy there on the interior that can really cause some problems and do some big things. But yeah, I love what he brings to the table there. I think he's going to be a guy. You mentioned highest upside. He would be right there in that category for me, because I think in 3 years you could potentially be talking about an all SEC, high round draft pick kind of guy as he develops in the strength and conditioning program.
Well, you look at, again, just the overall size, and to make some more comparisons, look what Texas just did in a couple of back-to-back seasons with massive human beings like Tavondre Sweat and Alfred Collins, and Vernon Broughton. These were like 6'4" plus 300-pounders, and they played inside it.
I think Luch talked about, Jermaine kind of comparing to Alfred. And I think you could, but you also saw how Alfred was so highly rated coming out of high school too. But it took him 3 or 4 years before, people were ready to write that guy off as a bust. The next thing you know, he's killing it. And but a similar body, a lot of similar tools, and like I said, as he develops, I think you're looking at something, a special weapon there for Elko and them.
Okay, so I do need to circle back because I was mistaken. Kay Nagley, the grand corrector in the back, has corrected me. We have not talked about Samu Moala.
I didn't think we did.
On TexAgs today. So that leaves 2 guys we got to chat, or one more guy we have to chat about, Samu Moala.
Yeah, Samu is the sit down that Sean Spencer and Tony Girard-Eddy did with Will Johnson as part of the A&M signing day coverage. They compared him to Marco Jones, and I thought that was interesting because I had never made that comparison. But California kid that plays on the edge, Samu's got a lot of his tape in a three-point stance, and he's going to play off that edge, but he does have a lot of tape with his hand in the dirt, whereas Marco Jones was a stand-up off-the-ball linebacker at times, but stood up off the edge too. I love the play strength here. Like, he sucks up ground on opponents, on quarterbacks, on running backs. But man, like when he engages with a blocker or whenever he hits a ball carrier, it is backwards. This kid's sudden. He's powerful. These Polynesian kids, Jason, they have some real juice in their hands and their grip strength, and it's pretty prevalent amongst all of them. And you see it even with the athletic build and the way that Samu moves. The power and the strength stand out to me.
Well, I was going to actually bring up a lot of what you said with in terms of Marco. I got to see Samu for the first time playing 7-on-7. He was standing up as a Mike, just running all over the field, covering receivers and getting out in the flats and dropping into zones. And it was insane. And it reminded me a lot of what you saw from Marco playing that position and just how they move and the fluidity they bring to the table at that position. And to hear that Tony and Coach Chaos, man, brought that up, that makes me smile a good bit. But like you said, I think he definitely brings that hand strength, kind of like DJ Hicks. Remember when him coming out of high school, I called him defibrillator hands, where he had just stopped somebody in their tracks, just shocked their heart. And Samu brings that kind of power with him as well.
That's it for the Texas A&M defensive line. It's a 4-person group: Bryce Perry-Wright, Jermaine Kinsler, Tristan Givens, and Samu Moala.
Before we move back, because we got to talk linebackers next.
I believe it's the only thing we've got left for us to talk about is the secondary.
Well, we got to talk linebackers. Let's just stick to the whole defensive side because there's some more stuff that I do want to talk about. But we can't let Jason, we can't end the show, just go defense without him talking about Zayden Krempin, who we broke down and we had on the show. But I didn't realize this, Jason. You've gotten to know Zayden very, very well. And
I've first met Zayden when I think he was. It may have been. It was either the spring of his freshman or 8th grade year there at Prosper, and they talked him up. They were super excited about what he brought to the table, and you could see it. I think he was a 240-pound, just lean arms, just like a baby deer out there, and. But you could see it. He always had that mentality that you see today. That's one thing I love about Zayden is he's the same mentality-wise as I saw when I first met him. He's just such a driven young man. The work ethic, I don't want to say manners. That just sounds, but he does things right. He does things the right way. He treats people the right way. He's going to fit right in Aggie land. People are going to love him. He's going to be a leader right away in the locker room. I just see him, taking the reins pretty early and doing some big things. I know you mentioned Roseboro being a guy that could contribute early. I think Zayden is a guy that we could be talking about early on as well. If it's, not at tackle, I could see him really getting there at center. I could see him adding the mass to even be that guy at guard. He just brings that kind of mentality to the table. Great young man. Pleasure to get to know him and his family over the course of this process and just see him continue his development over the years.
It's interesting because he talked about the budding relationship with Trey Zune and how much he's talked to Trey Zune. And I was like, really not a bad comparison. Trey Zune kind of rated in a similar level coming out of high school. Could play tackle, has played 3-4 years at tackle at Texas A&M, but may have a future in the NFL at center and positional versatility, right mentality, gritty, tough, willing to do whatever for the team. There's a lot of similarities here.
Yeah, I think Trey may have had a little bit more link to him. But overall, you are talking a very similar mentality approach, and the families just kind of get what A&M's all about too, and the culture of the program and things like that. So I definitely can see a lot of things right there. But this is a guy who's going to come in, he's going to work hard, and he's going to do whatever he can to make everybody else around him great.
All right, yeah. Let's go back and let's finish up linebackers.
Finish up linebackers. Who else have we not talked about?
We kind of briefly, I feel like we flew through. We talked kind of extensively about Tamarian Watkins, but Jason saw him live, right? So he went out to South Carolina and saw him.
Got to see a little scrimmage action.
Billy compared him a little bit to Isaiah Simmons, who was at Clemson from Kansas, went to Clemson. Just because 6'4", 200 pounds, and a lot of folks were recruiting him at safety, but A&M never wavered. Jay Bateman never wavered that he was a linebacker in their system. You talk about covering a bunch of ground. This tape, man, he eats up space, and it's smooth. Like, it doesn't look like he's ever, like, laboring to run or to close down ball carriers. It's smooth destruction.
Yeah, and he's been a guy that his brother is a defensive back trainer, played DB, I want to say at Marshall, and has been training him up for years. And, he brings that DB stride, that smoothness that you see at receiver a lot of times, but he is an absolute destroyer when he lowers the boom, man. He is not afraid to get physical. He has a great nose for the ball. He sees the field really well. He talk about a guy that's playing for a state championship. This guy has been the leader in one of the top defenses in South Carolina for the last few years, and they can't do anything more but rave about him any more than they do. I mean, he brings it, and I know this is one that Coach Bateman really prioritized from the beginning. Made him. I think he took his first visit for that LSU game that we saw Aaron Gregory commit after, and I know it made a huge impression on Tamarian and his family. Just what they saw, not only in that atmosphere, but from Coach Bateman and that defense and what they continued to learn there. But that helped pave the way for that recruitment. And Tamarian, like you said, he's a rangy dude with a huge frame. I remember I saw Isaiah Simmons at a camp when he was coming out of Kansas, and it was at an Arkansas Razorback camp. I was covering regionally, and I loved him. I thought he had a great camp, and they didn't take another sniff at him after that, and I couldn't understand it. But he wasn't quite a safety. He wasn't a DB. He wasn't a linebacker. But this is the kind of versatility that the defensive coaches love nowadays. I know A&M has compared him to Scooby Williams and the skill set that he brings to the table, that ability to cover, that ability to get downhill, and just be a matchup nightmare. And I love what he brings to the table here. This is another guy that I think Elko talked about versatility, and I don't know, maybe he was talking about multi-sport players, but Tamarian is that guy. He plays multiple positions, he plays multiple sports, and he's been a standout all over the place.
You just watch him run, like when he sees the play, watch him change gears. It's really special for a kid, 6'4", 200. Whenever he sees it and goes, I mean, it is explosive. It's dynamic. I love the versatility. Like it's a cross between a linebacker and Antonio Johnson with you can tell he's got a DB background with that big long frame. This kid's got a chance, man. Another super high upside pickup for the Aggies. Another linebacker that I wanted to talk to Jason about, or with Jason about, is DeQuivis Beck, because he's gotten an up close and personal look at him more so than I have. Now, DeQuivis missed some time with an injury this year. Missed 5 games. And KJ Edwards has also been out with injury. It kind of speaks to the program that Coach Surratt's got at Carthage, that you have 2 SEC guys go out and you just don't miss a beat in terms of winning games. But I think DeQuivis Beck, here's what I said about him, passes the eyeball test without question. I think you mentioned him, Jason, as your first off the bus type of guy in our class superlatives. But I think DeQuivis, since he's come back from that injury, he's playing good football, and you're starting to see stuff pop up. You're going, okay, this guy's back. He's made another jump in his development, and he's played off the edge. He's played off the ball. I like the versatility, but he just reminds me of like a thumping sideline to sideline, really get after like pulling guards. Like he's got that good linebacker face to him.
Yeah, last week got to see him up close and personal make his return, and you could tell he was still kind of nursing it a little bit in pregame. They were pretty careful with him, making sure he was getting stretched out. It was a little cool out there, but when the whistle blew and it was time to play some ball, he wasn't holding back. They had him coming off the edge a lot. He had a couple sacks, and he's just one of those guys that makes his presence felt. He's an intimidator. He's got that look to him. He's not the loudest guy, but when he says something, it speaks volumes. And he was fun to watch last week. But we've seen him. He's lined up off the ball. He's lined up off the edge. And they use him in a lot of different ways, but he's got that wingspan that can really help him, be an edge guy as well as an off the ball backer. But he's got a complete skill set there, in a program that's known to produce some pretty top-notch linebackers. They've had a few over there over the years. Kip Lewis at Oklahoma, and I know I've covered a few others over the years out of Coach Surratt's program there that have gone on to make an impression on the big college level.
So that'll do it for our thoughts on linebackers. We got to shift gears now to the secondary. And speaking of shifting gears, let's start with a guy who originally hailed from the Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. He played his prep ball at Desert Edge out in Arizona. Cornerback Cam Hamill. Jason, I'll let you get us started here.
38-inch vertical leap, 4.40. He's really wound tight. You see him making plays on special teams as well as a return man. He will absolutely detonate on dudes, on opposing receivers. He's a ball hawk back there. But I want to say when he came into that program, they weren't initially looking at him as a cornerback. He wanted to be a receiver, and he also played some linebacker. And they eventually found a home for him out there at DB. And him and Jamar Bill Gawns got to cook last year out there at Desert Edge, and I want to say they won a state championship. And that may be one of the most athletic duos you'll see out there on the football field. But he is Cam decided to shut it down early this summer, and he was locked in once he made that decision. I don't think there was a second thought, but yeah, he's that guy that can play across the back end, multiple positions. He's got the cover skills. He's got the physicality, and like you said, at that nickel spot, throw him out there in the slot and let him go to work.
Yeah, this is an elite skill set, man. He can really run. He's sudden. There's strength. There's evident strength on his frame already. This kid has as good a senior tape as anybody in the class. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have had some really strong senior campaigns, Jason. This is as good a tape as any. He's made huge impacts in the return game. This is an early impact type of player because of the position he plays, that nickel spot, and because when you watch the tape, I think an important part of playing in the nickel is you've got to be able to play in space, obviously, but you have to be able to willing to tackle because you're so much closer to the run game often. And I think Cameron Hamill's a willing tackler. When you see him in person, he does pass like an eyeball test that doesn't.
He's got some mass to him. He
yes,
does.
Yeah, and he's he carries it well, and it shows up on tape. I love this kid. This is a kid that I didn't talk enough about in the recruiting cycle. Not near enough about. This is a real player here. Perhaps the best player in the state of Arizona.
I think some people have him rated there. If we did Arizona rankings, we'd probably have him there too.
Mike Elko said today, Cam Hamill projects to come in and play nickel at Texas A&M. So,
that's what we said.
That?
Yes.
Sorry. I just had a moment. Like, do you remember when I brought up Josh Henson on TexAgs Live one day, and Billy he put me in my place. He goes, I just got done giving you a 5-minute answer on that. Sorry, guys. That's my bad. Hand up. This is a hand-up show.
That's what we
my
are.
Mistake,
this is
Jason.
the B team.
From one cornerback to the other. All right, let's talk about the other corner the Aggies are adding in this group. Victor Singleton, a kid from Toledo, Ohio, Jason.
I heard Browning talking about this guy on the live show this morning, and I thought he hit the nail on the head. But this is the kind of cover corner you look for, and a guy that Jordan Peterson zeroed in on early, and was able to bring into the fold. I remember this one was one of the more surprising commitments. I don't know. This may have been one of those we don't have anything ready for kind of moments, but. It was a spring. It was a spring ball, I want to say, and he locked it down and made his decision. And flipped from Illinois and one of the top prospects in the state of Ohio. But again, you see a guy who really anticipates well. He is quick in and out of his breaks. He's a guy who gets in the hip pocket. He's got the length that you look for, and he does a good job of turning and locating when it comes to playing the ball. So overall, just a well-rounded DB, a well-rounded corner, and I know Coach Peterson's excited to have his skill set in the fold.
You know what he kind of reminds me of? It's weird. I think they've got this player committed in the class of 27 and Hakeem Frampton. There's a lot of similarities there. Hakeem Frampton probably a little bit faster straight line, but they're smaller bodies that are extremely agile and super competitive with the ball in the air. Victor Singleton and Hakeem Frampton.
He's stuck on Cam.
are two players that I love them as, like, they're smaller, but like Mike Elko said, he actually asked Billy, why does everybody think that I'll only recruit 6'3" corners? Because that's what he had on campus when he got here. But what he cares about is, can you cover? Like, to me, length on a corner
Who cares
like,
if you can't turn?
Right. Length on a corner is like, okay, it's a pitcher who throws 100. Like,
doesn't matter if you can't find the strike zone.
Right. Like, if you're not anywhere close to the guy, does it matter if you're 6'3"? No. It may help if you can cover. Being 6'3" helps, but it's like the guy that throws 100, it throws it all over the place. I'd rather you throw it over the plate. I'd rather you be able to cover the guy, at least give yourself a chance.
You need to be fluid through the hips, and you got to be able to turn and go, and that's one thing Victor brings. And when you get those longer guys, those taller guys, it does impact their ability, their fluidity right there. They're stiffer, and I think they've done a great job as a whole, making sure they find those guys that they can change directions without losing a step, and they can stick with those quick receivers that you're seeing out there and in the SEC. So but he does bring length, and when you talk about length, it's not necessarily height. It's the arm length, that wingspan, and he can make up ground in a hurry. He has some length in his arms that allows him to take advantage of some of that. And he may not be 6'3", but he's got some nice length to him.
Well, and look what A&M's put on the field this year. Does it matter if you're 6'3" trying to cover Mario Craver, who's 5'10", probably 165 pounds? No, it does not. He is going to get away from you. Like, you got to get guys that can get close to these guys and cover them. And I think Vic Singleton certainly fits that mold. So what do we got? We got safeties?
Yeah, we got safeties. But did you guys notice how cool the playing surfaces on these Ohio high school football teams were?
I did not.
Right, one of them was playing on a red field, and another one, the midfield logo was like a fighter jet.
Sweet.
In Victor Singleton's highlight tape. That was pretty cool. Okay, you mentioned it. Safety. Let's start with the guy Jason Witten actually talked to today, right? Mansfield Timberview, Chance Collins. Yep. Jason's got an interview with the young man out now. It's not just an interview with Chance. He also talked to a proud mom and dad and a head coach. All of it available now to TexAgs Premium subscribers. Jason, the floor is yours to talk about Mr. Chance Collins.
Yeah, I love Chance, and I got to see him early on. I first saw him he was a receiver working for Margin Hooks, and caught my attention the way he attacks the ball when he was playing receiver, and he does the same thing out at Tempview. He plays both ways. This is a guy who he's receiver. I think he played some Wildcat quarterback. He's been a return man. He's played corner, safety. He could play some linebacker. You're talking about a kid 6'1", 190 pounds right now. He won athlete of the year last year as a junior at Timberview, and was a key member of their track team. Competed in several events, a lot of the sprint relays, and his cousin is Edrin Cooper. So he's got some great ties to Texas A&M and the elite athleticism there, and a lot of traits that are going to make him fun to watch over the years. I'm not a big comparison guy, but I did kind of compare him to Dylan Brooks, and just the versatility, the multi-sport, and the growth potential he has as he continues. A lot of similar size as they were coming out of the high school ranks. So, but yeah, he sees the field really well. Great instincts on the back end. He was a magnet for the ball, man. He sees it and attacks it, and he's a playmaker on the back end of that defense.
Yeah, and from Chance Collins, a guy we know really well, to Tylen Wilson, the other safety in this class, who, if I had to make a pick of guys that I just don't know the most about in this class, like the guys we know the littlest about, at least for me, it would be Caleb Tafua and probably Tylen Wilson, a safety out of Pascagoula, Mississippi, who, again, Texas A&M, Ish Aristide, Mike Elko, Jay Bateman, the defensive staff, evaluated the entire country and looked at a bunch of safeties, including Braylon Womack, who they remained a player for right down to the final week, and they put a high priority on Tylen Wilson. So this was one of their handpicked guys out of the state of Mississippi. And what I love about Tylen Wilson's tape is how aggressive he is in the run game. He fits the run, he tackles well, and you listen to Mike Elko talk, whether it be in these coaching conventions or even in some of his sit-downs in his press conferences, and what he asks safeties to do in his defense. They are a massive part to this running game. And I love the fact that, okay, if safeties are so important to our run game, let's go get a guy that in high school shows a real ability to factor into these run games, making plays at or behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, another multi-sport guy who I want to say he played 4 sports there. Track and field, football, baseball, basketball, highly competitive in every single one of them. And I want to say I saw he was either right there tied with Terrell Buckley for the Pascagoula high school record for interceptions, He is a dude that they love out there. Can't say enough about, and plays both sides of the football, and on defense, like you said, he brings the complete package. He gets up and plays the run. He's real physical. He loves to get downhill and attack, but he does the same thing in pass coverage. He locates and he goes, and he can do something with it after the catch.
That's
pretty much, we've talked all of the players other than the specialists. Do you want to spend any time
on
we don't
talk about special. I mean, we talked about kicker and punter. Like they are important positions. If you're fielding a competent football team,
yeah,
you got to win in all 3 phases.
You got to see this year,
right?
Yeah, no joke.
And think about, that's what I said this morning. Where would Oklahoma be without Tate Sandell? I mean, that's a team that relies on special teams and defense, and their kicker has been as big a part of their offense now. I know that everybody wanted to crown John Mateer a Heisman Trophy winner after week 3 and him beating Michigan. But what has happened since then is like one of their most important players has been their kicker. And so A&M, this has been kind of unexpected.
One of A&M's best players to be their kicker.
It's been an unexpected issue this year, right? Like Randy Bond had been pretty solid in his career up until this year, and so A&M's going, look, like If we feel like we're doing a great job of building a balanced roster and a really talented team that is going to compete for SEC championships and for playoff picture, we've got to go out and we got to get a kicker. We got to get a reliable kicker. And so I think it was important that they put one on scholarship, Asher Murray. Waylon Peters was also announced today, the punter out of Montgomery. They've got to get better at kicking the football. Point blank, period.
Jason, anything to add to that? I think he just about summed it up, quite honestly.
I think, we've kind of hit on all that. It's important, and you got to have reliable guys, hopefully that's what you got.
So I got a question for both of you guys, because you've been doing this a lot longer than I've known each of you. Is this the most laid back, easy signing day you've ever been a part of? Because there were no surprises either way for Texas A&M today. They got all 28 guys in the boat before noon.
Yeah, it was low-key. There was still some stuff that you were having to sort through, some of the stuff that never saw the light of day, that the coaching staff is just normal nowadays with NIL and late offers being had, and they sorted through all that. They lost some commitments over the last month with Jonathan Hatton and Jordan Carter. But, kind of landing this plane for signing day, it's been smooth and easy. We will continue to monitor the Carson Baker decision tomorrow morning out of Langston Hughes High School in Fairburn, Georgia. But, yeah, for me, Jason, pretty simplistic today. And like Richard said, all the signatures were in before 9:30.
Yeah, I mean, even the maybe dramatic moment for me, I walked in, KJ Ford's all decked out in Florida Gator gear. So it was like, all right, well, guess that's that. So I didn't have to worry about any suspense there, and was able to get on my way. Overall, it was really, I'd say the cycle in general was a pretty low-key, good group, and didn't bring a whole lot of drama to the table. Wanted to take care of business and get to know each other. But
you know what this means.
I wouldn't say it's the lowest, the most low key I've ever dealt with, but it was a good one. It's a good group.
That was another thing that Coach Elko mentioned today is they got them all committed early, and none of them really wavered.
No, they had a couple. Who were all the decommitment? There was the kid at Ryan Gilbert early. I mean, Markel Ford.
He mentioned Helaman being the first commit in the class. I mean, there were a couple DFW guys that ended up at other schools I think those were more mutual as much as they were flipped. And
Jonathan Hatton, the only late defection.
Jordan Carter was a little bit later.
Jordan Carter was the last month or so, and then you had Hatton that kind of came out of left field. But I'll say this. There were schools calling just about every single one of these kids all the way up until through last night, or having conversations.
Well, Tamarian Watkins visited South Carolina last weekend of the season.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I know that Chance had a few schools try and shake him loose a little bit. Not that he ever worried or wondered or did anything, but they all call and check and kick the tires to see what's going on. They all have these relationships, and everybody's going to give their best effort, one last push before signing day. And this group was good. They were locked in and didn't really provide a whole lot of drama, which is it's good to see. It's easy. It makes it for an easy day for us, and it's fun to watch the drama happen elsewhere, because there was plenty that happened elsewhere. So.
Yeah, there was, and even in Austin, I think Texas had a couple of defensive linemen flip today.
A couple of those big boys went to other schools.
Inevitably, what a kind of low-key, easy high school signing day means is that Jason and I are in for a very hectic 2 weeks in about a month as the transfer portal opens.
The Wild Wild West, boys. Let's go again.
Yeah, I feel like because they've shortened that window, it's going to be it's always hell on wheels, but they've added high octane to the fire.
Well, I'll say this about that. Not that I'm not expecting a lot of activity. I think this, player personnel group, though, has got a really good foothold on what they need and what they're looking for. And they're going to have a lot of people. They're going to be sorting through options that are coming at them as opposed to what they may have been having to do over the last couple years. And that's a great spot to be in as you prepare to see what unfolds in January.
Jason, I appreciate it so much, sir, and great coverage again today from earlier at Mansfield Timberview High School. If you haven't checked out Jason Howe's interviews with Chance Collins, his mom and his dad, and his head coach, do so now. TexAgs.com/subscribe if you are not a premium subscriber. It always gives me chills when I hear an interview start with Jason Howe, TexAgs.com, sir.
Well, hey, and Jacody Coleman, I actually covered his recruitment. The head coach at Timberview. He flipped from Baylor when I was covering Baylor. Little Beaumont boy doing Baylor dirty out there back in the day.
Boy, you want to talk about who didn't have a low-key signing day. The Baylor Bears have had a very interesting week. Yeesh. It has not been.
Signing day was pretty low-key.
The last couple of days.
As it was at Penn State.
Yeah, signing day, very low-key in State College, Pennsylvania.
Hard to have a good signing day when you don't have a coach.
Hey, they did flip an Auburn quarterback from Pennsylvania over there. They got him signed. So
would they bring their total up to 5?
At one point, it was down to 2. They were below. At one point, they were below West Georgia, South Dakota,
McNeese.
and your McNeese State Cowboys.
Yeah.
Go
it's going to be
Pokes.
fun to watch who didn't sign and who ends up signing and deciding they want to check out another option.
To me, there is still some coaching movement that could happen.
Oh, yeah. We saw that a little bit today on the A&M side. So.
Yeah, and I do think, everybody we talked to, Helaman gave us no indication that he was worried, and he actually said that he committed. He was happy for Colin Klein. There's been no official tweet. There's been no official word that Colin Klein is in. There was actually a tweet that came out while we were on the show with Kansas State's athletic director saying he's not reached out to any specific candidate yet. Obviously, for the full in-depth analysis of what's going on there, check TexAgs.com. Billy's got a full update on the latest with Colin Klein, the head coaching job at Kansas State, and what it might look like for A&M going forward. But it sounds like even if he is the next guy in line in Manhattan, Kansas, it's not going to affect A&M's class too much. And
no, I think it sounds good for everybody right now.
Yep. All right, Jason, we thank you for your debut on the B team.
Jason Howe.
Glad to make it.
Jason Howe, TexAgs senior recruiting analyst. Brawny, we've still got a couple of minutes before we wrap up this edition of the B Team, this bonus coverage of TexAgs live signing day show presented by Holistic Planning. The B Team, sponsored by Southwood Valley Animal Hospitals. Can't get away from the NASCAR-like sponsorships around these parts.
Speaking of NASCAR, we do have to shout out Nick Savage again.
That's exactly where I was going. Nick Savage, director and producer of the morning show, director-producer of this show. He didn't really have a break during the middle of the day either. There was stuff going on in studio. I was going to give a shout-out to everybody, and I was going to go by name. The lady who sat next to him this morning was Miss Kaylee Dreyer. Kay Nagley sat directly behind him. I was in the back, but I don't really do anything. Callie Garner was great on social media. Luke Evangelist was monitoring a bunch of stuff for us as well. Justin Pius was helping produce content this morning. And in the back, we had Cade Bickham and Katie Walker.
Fade Bickham.
It is Fade Bickham. Sometimes Faded Bickham.
Ooh,
we don't know. Anyways, and Reese Nygren was in the back this afternoon.
Reese Nygren sat over here in the Angry Elephant Social Center and didn't get to say a word. Yeah, it was on the show, but not really on the show.
And in everything we do here at TexAgs, right, it takes a village, right? To make you and Jason and Cade Droughton and the content you produce takes a village to make you guys look good.
You shout out Cade Droughton, too.
Oh, yeah, driving all over the place in H-Town.
And has never once complained. He's a hard-working sucker that has wanted to take on more. We've given him more responsibility. He has helped our recruiting coverage tremendously. He honestly has. He started as an intern and has worked his way up to a part-time position. He's got another job that he's doing alongside this. So he's grinding, but Cade's been great and has been a huge help to Jason and I. We're not done with our TexAgs signing day coverage. You are going to get an Olin Buchanan column at some point, right? He texted me about 5-10 minutes ago, stopped at Chick-fil-A, trying to write fast.
We'll see. Maybe a 7 o'clock column. You're getting Nolan Buchanan content tonight. You'll also have later in this week class superlatives from Bronny, Jason, and Cade, and we'll also be monitoring other things. Dude, I asked a question at the Mike Elko press conference, and I stumbled a bit, and I was like, wow, maybe I need to stop making fun of Ola. That's my We Learn Wednesday. It's harder to ask questions than it looks.
The world coming back to bite you. But thank you to Nick Savage. I mean, Nick, he hates this, but tireless worker. He's been up here for 12 hours today. Produced every piece of content, every graphic that we've seen. He and Kay Nagley kind of tag team that, but he has been an integral part of our coverage today.
He's the best. He's huge. He is
a white monster. He is a white monster. I've seen it.
I walked in at 6:45 and he had a tall boy.
Oh, that white monster tall boy, not Michelob Ultra or probably a Miller Genuine.
We all could use one after that.
We held it together for 85 minutes. Great job.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. We will see you
tomorrow. Thunderdome Thursday.
On a normal Thunderdome Thursday.
Crumble
We're getting weird.
Cookies.
We're getting weird.
Crumble cookies.